All right? Now, we need to learn a new cut. I've already done what I can do, and the pulling cut is probably going to leave some tool marks behind. And remember when I was talking about scraping and the 90-degree rule, and how I close that flute up, and the bottom edge would never touch the wood at more than 90 degrees, always less. You know, all that conversation was talking about scraping. All right? Now what we're going to do is add shear to our scraping cut. Now this is spelled correctly. Shear meaning scrape on a steep slope. So this is not the shear that would be spelled for shearing scissors and cutting actions and things like this. So this just means scrape on a steep slope. So we're going to take that same scraping cut, we're going to roll that flute over, get the top close, but we're going to lower the handle and get a 45-degree peeling action. Again, I'm going to use my pencil trick to slice the fibers downhill, but with the scraping action of the burr now. So whenever on the outside of the bowl, whenever I'm on the outside of the bowl, I'll always have my handle down and the flute pointing in the direction so that the 45-degree shearing angle is always going downhill. We're going to lower the handle way down here, and I'm going to close the flute, and I'm going to be on a 45-degree angle with the slicing edge. Now we have a whole new attitude to think about here. This is not a cut that's going to take much wood away. It's very delicate, very deliberate, very slow pace. I'm going to tuck my elbows in. I'm going to use my whole body, and I'm going to use my legs and my torso to move on an arc of that bowl. There's no pressure in on the wood. I'm just waiting and just kissing the fibers just ever so gently. Every part of my body is just moving with the tool across the tool rest. Now, I got some issues here. First of all, I wish I had a better tool rest because this is pushing me way away here, but we'll have to deal with that. But there's another issue in the shear scrape that's much, much different than any other of the tools. In the shear scrape, I have the handle down and the tool becomes perpendicular to the tool rest. I don't tuck the tool rest in right close to the wood. It's always easier to get the handle down if my tool is perpendicular to the tool rest. Now once I come way over here, then I find, well, I have trouble getting the handle down. The tool rest gets in its own way, so I'll have to move it to come around that part of it. So while the tool rest is in this position, I can only reach maybe the bottom half of this efficiently. If I stop in one place here, it's just going to make a divot. It's going to cut a groove in it. If I go too fast, it'll leave a spiraling mark behind. So it's just a very slow, deliberate pace. And tuck my arms in, get in a comfortable position up on the ball of my feet, and just very gently. And if we can see some of these fibers, you see how delicate these fibers are? I'm not taking much wood away, little tiny angel hairs, right? And now any of those tool marks, and if you notice, I'm actually going both ways. I'm violating the go downhill rule by moving across the tool rest the wrong way, but the peeling action is peeling it the correct way. So I can actually go the wrong way, and in some cases it's even easier to get a clean cut going the wrong way, the way the wood's being removed, okay? So now that's a pretty smooth area right in there. I want to get the rest of it around here, so I got to move my tool rest. So that I can get perpendicular to the tool and still reach this position here. You hear that? A little bit of out of roundness already from that wood drying. All right. Now the trick here is to go right out, zoom right out in the plane, the angle of that flow of that bowl, not, I'm not pushing into it to round that off. So it's a very light cut out and back again and back out into the air spaces and then back out again. The trick to this is to start a cut, go through a bad spot where a bump or an undulation is, and exit a cut without making a starting and an entry and exit point, and making 2 more divots. So very deliberate, very soft. And I think it was David Ellsworth that coined the phrase dance with your lathe because of this kind of a cut, of using your whole body. There's no herky-jerkiness of my arms here at all. That little tiny burr on there is acting like just a little microscopic bowl gouge, and it's going to get worn away really quickly, and so we have to go sharpen often. I've already shear scraped this for a little while. My tool is dull. I'm going to have to go sharpen. I'm going to use the bowl gouge as a scraper, and I've got a wide area here to use it in. I can go all the way from the heel all the way to the toe as a scraper. So I break this down in my mind, just kind of mentally break it into thirds, and I'll take the front half, the front third, and I'll do a little shear scraping there, and that'll get dull. And I'll take the middle of it, and that'll get dull, and I take down by the heel, and that'll get dull. We can't use the point here. That'll cause a divot, or the tip changes the radius and won't be scraping anymore. But all that in between is fair game, but we have to use it as a sharp tool. So let me stop again and go sharpen. And lower the handle, brand new burr now, tuck it in. Now this cut's really deliberate. In fact, it's so deliberate, I've got to remind myself to breathe sometimes, that I've been holding my breath all this time, trying to make this perfect arc with my body moving just very slightly along the surface of that. I'm holding it down on the tool rest and using my body to make that arc.